guys, thanks for tuning in. It's the one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, thanks to the absolutely incredible support from the folks over at Factory Entertainment, we're going to be taking a look at their new Star Trek The Next Generation 1:1 scale Type 2 PHASER prop replica. Many of you know that I am a big Star Trek fan, and I am a big prop replica fan. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Combining those two things is something that I am all about. And Factory Entertainment has been consistently, release after release, knocking their replicas clear out of the park. And they're continuing on with their Type 2 PHASER. The package, much like all of them, it is this very similar box. This one's a little bit larger, obviously. You have the Starfleet Delta right there. You got a cool image of the Next Generation cast, Star Trek right there. The side here has that same kind of image you can see down here. It says the Type 2 Dustbuster PHASER. Dustbuster wasn't the official name of it, but it's what the production and affectionately fans have named this. Come on to the other side again. You have that same Next Generation image. Come around here, same thing. Come around to the back. You got contact information, warnings. You have it upside down, and that this is not a toy, so don't play with it. But you can't tell me what to do. I'm gonna play with it, and here it is. And I absolutely love this. Now, both the Type 1 and Type 2 Dustbuster were never really my favorites, but it still hits that nostalgia spot that I have for Star Trek The Next Generation, and really gives me hope that we're going to be getting some other ones in the future. Much like all of them, you do get this instruction as well as a certificate of authenticity. The instructions go through on how the actual design is with like the emitter, the power level indicator, beam width, all that stuff. Come around to the back, you can see how to install the batteries, which it does come with batteries, which is nice. And then, like I said, you have the certificate of authenticity, how to actually kind of play with it in terms of adjusting the different settings and what they all mean. And then you get a rundown here, which is always really nice to read, and how it talks about through the production of this. Factory really did the best that they could in terms of going to CBS themselves and copied the actual surviving resources that CBS had to create this. Over the 2 seasons that the Type 2 PHASER was featured in, there were many different variations to it. And it's hard to kind of pinpoint one to kind of create a definitive replica. So what they did a little creative license and took all those remaining assets and took the best features of all of them to combine to give us this, which in my opinion is the best of both worlds. Get it? Best of both worlds? And this being the Type 2 PHASER, it's the best of both worlds, 1 and 2. Whatever. But I love that they go through and explain that to us. That's really very, very cool. And I love the LCARS look on this. Absolutely fantastic. But coming to the piece itself, one thing that I really like is that so far with all these phasers, Factory has really stayed consistent with the presentation in terms of having this really nice glass opening with the Starfleet logo right there in the center, and then the whole box itself is this really nice bluish wood display box with some nice metal clasps and hinges. You got the little clasp right here where you can lift this up, open that up, and then it's got a nice little hinge section here that allows you to fold it back and stays there very nicely. And then you got this beautiful felt display section, which really nicely displays both the plaque as well as the replica. Taking a look at the plaque first, you can kind of see that, if it'll focus, mine is limited number 229 out of 1500. And I really like how this kind of replicates the Enterprise dedication plaque. That's really cool. It is in this little plastic thing. I'm going to leave it in there because it is very, very reflective and a fingerprint magnet. And I don't want to have to worry about cleaning that. But you stick that right in there. And then here is the Type 2 PHASER. Now, when people think of the Type 2 PHASER, they don't necessarily think of this one, because this was only used through the first 2 seasons. After that, it was replaced with what's affectionately known as the Cobra Head, which is a much more sleek and angular look. This is definitely a dustbuster-shaped PHASER. Some of you might not know what a dustbuster is, and if that's the case, you're probably too young to even know what this is in the first place. But I love it. It's cool. All die cast construction here, so there is a heavy feel to it, very nice, cool feel. You also do have plastic in terms of things like that, and then like the screen right there. You also have a kind of rubbery material right down here for the handle. So there's a good feel to this. I absolutely love it. And it is substantially bigger than what we got before. The Type 1 phaser was replaced, as most of us know that follow Star Trek. But you can see the big size difference between the two. Still a similar design with the two adjustable buttons right here. You have the indicator light, obviously you have the emitter, and then you have the triggers right there. But this was a much more powerful phaser. Whereas the Type 1 was kind of a quick, easy one to kind of hold on to and just, I mean, it could still like disintegrate you and stuff, but wasn't nearly as powerful for things. This would basically be able to cut through walls and such. But all the way around, beautiful construction. You can kind of see it's a grayish white color, much different than the more silver that's on the Type 1. But I love it. You got a very nice trigger section here. Again, the buttons and the actual intensity beam. You can also see this section right here with the red and the black. The front bit here is a bluish coloring. All the way around though, spectacular. The batteries are inside here. It is a little bit tricky to get the battery compartment out. You kind of have to pinch and there we go. Kind of pull it away like that. Like I said, you do have the batteries that are included, and then you have an on and off switch right here as well. But like I said, a little bit tricky to get out, and then you put that right back in there. And then that clips in there very nicely. Now, very much like the Type 1, I keep bringing it out just for a comparison purpose, but what you're going to want to do is take this button here on the left-hand side, push that down, and that will activate it, much like it did on the original. So, you know, Starfleet's pretty consistent with their kind of technology of sorts. But you do have the actual indicator right here and the trigger. So on the first setting here, which is a a low stun setting, you would push the button and again, much like the other one, you do get a light up feature on the inside here. Then you can also see it in the front as well. If you hold it down, doesn't do anything just yet. Now the next setting would be activated by pushing the button here on the right. That takes you to a medium stun setting, and it's basically the same sound. And it's the same thing when you hold it down. And then the next setting would be a heavy stun setting. And again, all those sound the same, and even when you hold it down here, it's a consistent sound to it. The next setting would be what they refer to as the thermal setting. This is a low thermal setting, so you hit it again, and now you can hear the change between the stun setting and the thermal setting. This is something that they would use if they want to, like I said, cut through things. I do kind of wish that when that would happen, the light would stay on the entire time. But if you hold the button down, it does end up staying on. So it really does show a more powerful, intense beam. So this is more of a shortened one. But like I said, you still hear the sound. So while you're still hearing the sound, I wish that the light would stay on. And then you go to the heavier stun setting. Or I'm sorry, heavier thermal setting, and then again when you hold the trigger down, even if you don't hold it down, you can see that the light stays on, and you can see the little flashing right there. I just wish that when you would tap it, that whole light would stay on. That's just a minor nitpick, I guess, on my end of things, because it's still, the beam is still theoretically coming out at that point, and I think that it would still stay lit up. The next setting is what's known as disrupt, and you push the button again and that definitely sounds different. So coming down, you can, that's similar, it's definitely similar, and then holding it down gets that elongated sort of blast. Then do that to the next one as well, and again this is disrupt level B or something. Holding it down. And then the final setting, or level 8, is the one that basically completely disintegrates you. And I think that's what it's called. I think it's called the disintegration mode. But level 8, now all of this is fully lit up. Pushing the button. Again, sounds similar. All of them kind of still do. But this level 8 is the one that basically makes things completely vaporize. And another little hidden feature in here is when you hold down the 2 buttons, it will activate the self-destruct mode. Unlike this one that had the crusher mode on it, this one just has that as far as I can tell. So holding the 2 buttons down, you see it's going through the intensity. This is lit up, and then I love that. And then it turns it off, and now it's not active because it's completely blown up. But overall, absolutely love the design on this. It is, like I said, not my favorite of the Star Trek phasers. The Type 1 and Type 2 definitely weren't. Well, at least this version of the Type 2. But I still absolutely love it. As a massive Star Trek fan, as I've said before, getting all these prop replicas really is a kid's dream come true that grew up loving Star Trek. I can't believe we're here, 2023, getting so much cool stuff that I grew up wishing I could have. And companies like Factory Entertainment, time and time again, release those absolute nostalgia hits. And with San Diego Comic-Con coming up, you know that they're going to give us some more teases. And I cannot wait to see what they come up with. But there you go, guys. There's my look at the new Factory Entertainment 1-to-1 scale Star Trek The Next Generation Type 2 Dustbuster Phaser Limited Edition prop replica. If you'd like to add this to your collection or any other prop replicas from Factory Entertainment, I'll put a link right down there in the video description to their website, where you can swing on over there and check out availability on this, as well as the rest of their wide range of prop replicas. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. And as always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know by hitting that thumbs up button. And until next time, this is Optibotimus saying adios, au revoir, and auf Wiedersehen.